Hello, Framingham musicians. This is Mr. J or Mr. Jasinski from FHS, the band teacher up at Framingham High School. And you can probably tell just from reading this very first slide why I'm talking to you today. It's because we want you to join the FFMB or the Framingham Flyer Marching Band. I hope that if you're a musician, maybe at one of the middle schools right now, or maybe in the freshman band, you've probably heard about the marching band. You probably know a little bit about it, or maybe you know someone who's been in it in the past. It's usually this time of year where we're putting out all kinds of information and inviting you to the high school so that we can do a mini band camp of sorts and teach you a couple things and have you meet some of the older members and have you meet me and some of the other staff members. And unfortunately, because we are not in school right now, we can't do that in person. So this presentation is hopefully going to fill a little bit of that void where you get some helpful information to help you decide whether this is something that you really, really want to do next year or maybe not. And I'm going to tell you just as much as I can about the marching band. I'm going to tell you about our schedule, about what we do, about why we do it, about the different kinds of sections. And then finally, I'm going to tell you what do you have to do next if you are interested in joining this. So the best thing you can do for yourself is ask a lot of questions. If you know somebody at the high school or you know somebody in the marching band or in the music program, ask them what they know. They're definitely going to be able to point you in the right direction. Or you can email me. My email address is later on in this presentation, so you can copy that down, shoot me an email, and I will answer your question or your family's questions, or at least point you in the right direction. So here we go. I'm going to change slide now, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the marching band as we keep going. What is the FFMB? It's the Framingham Flyer Marching Band. Now, this is different than the concert band class or the freshman band class that you take during the day. There are certain music classes or music groups at FHS that are just classes. You take them during the day, they're a part of your normal schedule, all that kind of stuff. This is different. This is more like a club, an extracurricular, something like that. And we also have a jazz band, we have an indoor program, and we have all kinds of other things you can join, but this is kind of the big one. This is like our crown jewel up at the high school, the marching band. We've been very competitive in the last couple of years, and the group is always made up of very, very hardworking students and hardworking staff. So that's kind of what we are in a nutshell. You can see I've listed a couple of things on this slide as well. We're basically a musical ensemble. Again, we don't participate or we don't practice ever during the school day. It's not something you sign up for or put in your schedule. It's something that happens after school only. We perform, we compete in the fall. Fall usually, I mean, for us, the fall starts in about the middle of August, 2 weeks before school starts. We go all the way up through November. This is also a community of friends, musicians. You're going to meet some of your closest friends ever in this. I promise it happens every year. You're going to meet these people, and they're going to be your high school friends, and you're going to make memories together. And it's a lifelong thing that you're getting into if you're interested in this group. We're also a community of hardworking students. These are students who put in a lot of hours. They put in a lot of effort. They practice all the time because we want to be able to put on a show that is a really, really top quality. And they've done that consistently in the last couple of years. And then finally, sometimes, not always, but sometimes we're a group that travels. Every 3 years, we go to Walt Disney World, and that rightmost picture is actually part of the marching band marching down Main Street at Walt Disney World in Orlando. So that happens every couple of years. We were planning on going next year. I don't know if that has changed yet. I really, really hope not. I think we're planning to go in April, and it's only this group. It's not the freshman band. It's not the jazz band. It's not other groups at FHS that go. It's the drama company, and then it's the marching band. So that's a nice little bonus if you're planning on being a part of our group next year, probably. I'm going to show you just a clip. This is a YouTube clip. We have a YouTube channel that's got tons and tons of our old videos and performances and things. I'm going to show you a little clip of our marching band show from last year. The theme was the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, so creepy, like headless horseman type stuff. We do about an 8-minute show, so I won't leave this on the whole time because I think it'll take a little too long. I'll just show a little clip of it, but I really encourage you to go onto YouTube, search FFMB or Framingham High School Marching Band, and all these videos will pop up. You can watch our entire show. So I'm going to hit play. Once this loads, I'm going to skip to a pretty exciting part and let you just watch a minute or two of this. This is our championship show last year, November. Oops, jumped ahead a slide there, so I'm going to go back for a second. So what you saw was our last song last year. Usually our shows are made up of three pieces, and that was our last and most exciting piece, kind of finalizing our Sleepy Hollow show. Last year, that show actually won a second place in the state, second place in the whole state of Massachusetts in NESBA competition of a band that's our size. We also tied for best music. We got best drum major. Actually, our drum major, who is right here, Brooke, our student conductor, won best drum major in the entire state. I think that was it that we got at championships. But last year we enjoyed a lot of first place finishes, a lot of second place finishes, tons of every section was got at least one section award, like best percussion or best color guard. And I know that that video was kind of small, but that's I like when you get to see the entire band because you get to see all of the different pieces of this moving. You might see if you play a wind instrument, you probably saw your wind instrument down there: saxophones, clarinets, trumpets, baritones, tubas, all kinds of stuff like that. You also saw some marching percussion, some percussion that they didn't march; they sit in the front, the pit. And then you see some of the students in this picture are dressed differently. They have purple instead of blue. That's our color guard. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. So video is good because you get a little taste of everything that our show encompasses. So I'm sure this question is at the front of your mind. Believe me, it's at the front of my mind every day. What about COVID-19? Is that going to change what our season normally is? Um, in short, yes. COVID-19 is absolutely going to impact our season next year. We just don't know how. I mean, it might turn out that there are no football games, so it might be that we have a season and we just don't go to football games like we usually do. It might be that we aren't allowed to have our 2 week band camp in the summer like normal. So we'll just work really hard on like Saturdays during the school year, do something else to catch up. So a lot of the information on this next couple of slides where I'm going to tell you about our schedule and I'm going to tell you about how we compete. Um, those are how marching band is usually run, how it's usually done. A lot of this is subject to change, and we're trying to change as little as possible because we want you to have that great experience that everybody's had in the past, but also because of what we're dealing with as a world right now. Things are bound to change, so we're gonna take those changes as they come and do our very best to make sure that not only is everybody um, able to participate in this great thing and hopefully we get a good experience out of it, but that everybody is safe and healthy, and we are definitely following the guidelines set forth by the people who want you safe and healthy, because we all want that. So again, this is I'm going to tell you about the time commitment. This is our normal year. This is maybe subject to change. I don't know yet, but this is what our year usually looks like. We have, first and foremost, we have 2 weeks of band camp during the summer. It's always the 2 full weeks right before school starts. So it's mid August, and we do them Monday to Friday, and then the next week, Monday to Friday, all day long. This is so that we can learn our show before school starts because, as you can imagine, learning all of that movement and all of that music and memorizing all of that stuff takes a lot of time. So once the school starts, we have less time. So we do a summer band camp that's 2 weeks in August. During the school year, then after that, after school starts, we usually do 2 rehearsals per week. They're 3 hours long. What we did last year was Mondays and Wednesdays. I think the year before that we did Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that usually operates around what will work best for this particular band. It'd probably be Monday and Wednesday, and those rehearsals are 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And that's when we fine tune our show. That's when, if we didn't finish learning our show during band camp, we'll have an opportunity to do that during those rehearsals. For the first part of our year, usually the end of August and the beginning of September, we have Saturday rehearsals. Eventually, on Saturdays, we have competitions. So hopefully by the end of September, if NESBA, our competition circuit, is up and running, hopefully by the end of September, early October, where we're going to shows on Saturdays and we're competing with other high school bands. We do Friday night home football games every time they have a home football game that doesn't conflict with a show or something else for us. And then another thing I like to throw out there, because it can sometimes be a kicker for families, is that we do play the annual Thanksgiving game. There's a Thanksgiving football game on the morning of Thanksgiving every year, and we do play that as well. Sometimes it's in Natick, and sometimes it's at FHS or at Bowditch Field. I think this year we're at home. But that's our normal time commitment. If it's a Disney year, which, like I said, I think that this is going to be a Disney year, it means that we wrap our season up around November. We take the rest of November and December off to focus on other things. And then when we come back after the holiday break in December or early January, we start rehearsing again. Not as often, not 3 hours long, maybe once a week at first and then twice a week eventually, but they're only an hour too long so that we can prepare ourselves to march in a parade at Disney World. So that's probably the first thing you're looking at and saying, whoa, that's a lot. I know your middle school programs do not have that much after school rehearsal. It's not that big of a commitment, but like I said, this is a really, really competitive band. We've done very, very well. And getting to be the second best band in the state of Massachusetts takes a big time commitment. So it looks scary at first. I promise when you get involved in any veteran of the FFMB will tell you that once you get into it, the 3 hour rehearsals fly by. Band camp absolutely fly. In fact, our entire season flies by. So while this looks like a ton, it really goes pretty quickly, and it really is all to benefit your show and making sure that we have a really, really good product at the end of our season. Performances. When do we normally perform? Like I said, we always do home football games. Those are usually on Friday nights at about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And then we do NESBA shows. NESBA is the New England Scholastic Band Association. It's basically just a group that they'll bring together judges at a local high school, and we will travel to that high school and put on our show. And these judges watch our show, and they watch 10, 15 other shows during the day, and then they rank us, and they give us scores, and they give us feedback about how we can improve our show. So we usually do about 6 NESBA shows a year, and those are always on Saturdays, except for the championships is usually on a Sunday. But 6 times throughout the year, unless it's a funky year because of COVID-19, we will plan to compete just like we always do. And we also play fundraiser events. You can imagine these shows cost a lot of money for uniform upkeep and instrument upkeep and all the things that go into it. So we do play for fundraising events sometimes to make sure we have what we need. We play at the Thanksgiving game every year. Next year, we're planning on doing our April trip. And then at the end of every year, we usually wrap up our year with our Flag Day parade. And that's a fun little parade in May or June every year. So that's how often we perform, and it is a lot, especially in the fall where we're doing all those football games and all those NESBA shows. But by the time you spend band camp with these people and meet your section leader and meet your section, believe me, you're gonna wish that we performed more often because the shows are, it's fun to go out and impress people with what we've learned. Band camp, another big difference between marching band and most other musical groups at FHS is that we have a 2-week band camp during the summer. This is mandatory. If you can't make band camp, it means that you won't learn our show, or that you're going to come back later on and you're not going to know where to stand and where to move and where to go, and all the little nuances that go into our show. We learn all of that during our band camp. So the 2 weeks before school starts, Monday to Friday, and then the next Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. That's all for us to learn our show. Before you go thinking that, oh my gosh, that's a ton, how am I going to do that? We mix in fun, we mix in special lunches that the parents provide. Yes, it is hard work. It's hard work out in the sun most days, but like I said, it goes very quickly. You're going to meet new people. You're going to love to get to know your section and get to know upperclassmen and underclassmen and new folks and stuff. And band camp is really where we become a family. Later on, the performances are great and all of that's great, but band camp is when we're all in this together and we're all working hard to build our show for the first time. And while it is a lot of grueling work, it is also a lot of fun. I think anybody will tell you that. Most people will tell you that, oh my God, I hated band camp the first time I had to do it. But they'll also tell you, but I look back on it fondly. Different sections. So as you can see, it's not totally like a normal band or a normal concert band like you've been a part of, because there are a couple different sections. We have what we call a high wind section, and that's high woodwinds, flutes, clarinets, alto saxophones. And then we have our low wind section. That's some of the lower saxophones, the tenors and the baries, the baritone, the tuba, the trumpets. We've put in high winds and low winds, so it really depends on trying to balance out those two sections where they go. But basically, all of our wind instruments are separated into either high or low. You might be saying to yourself, well, I'm looking at that picture and I don't see the instrument that I play. I don't see bassoon or I don't see trombone. That's right. Because we move around, and because sometimes you got to get, in between two people and out the other side when we're in the middle of our show. Trombone players switch to baritone. Bassoon players can switch to clarinet or something like it. It doesn't mean that you can't be a part of this. It means that you might end up playing an instrument that is not your primary instrument. So it's not a big deal. During band camp, and especially over the summer, there are tons of kids and tons of other members that are really interested in helping you learn that new instrument so that you can catch up and be ready for the season. The battery is what we call the marching percussion. And in the picture, in the upper right-hand picture with the dragon, you can see those all the way to the right. There are three bass drums. And then all the way to the left, you can see Thomas standing there with his snare drum that is hanging from his shoulders, which you can't see because he has his uniform on over that harness. But the battery are the drums, the bass drums, the snare drums, sometimes the quad drums that actually do march. They're a part of that visual part of the show. And then we have the other percussion, stationary percussion. We call them the pit. And if you look down at the bottom picture, that's us playing in Fenway Park a couple of years ago. And you can see all those huge mallet instruments, marimbas, vibraphones, xylophones. Obviously, those students cannot march with those. So they stay in the front. Those students don't march. They're totally stationary, but they are a huge part of our show because they provide all of that great percussion sound that we couldn't get if they had to march. So the pit is also very important. The nice part about the pit is that you don't need your dot to be written for you. You don't have a visual spot on the field, so we can really pile as many people into that pit as we possibly can, because the more the merrier. We want that to be a really full sounding section. And then the color guard, that might be a term that you are not familiar with or you've never heard before. Those are the students I mentioned in the video earlier. They were wearing purple instead of our normal blue uniforms. The color guard is the visual part of the show. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the color guard because I think it's the one that we probably have the least amount of experience in. I know that you might be sitting there as a flute player, a clarinet player, a drummer saying, okay, I see my section. I know what I want to do in this marching band. Well, if you don't know, or you are any kind of dancer or you've done some ballet or some jazz or anything like that, the color guard is a really important aspect of our show that provides all of the visual stuff instead of the music piece. they use, you can see in that upper picture some flags. They have them kind of wound up so you can just see the tops of the poles, but they use flags. They use other kinds of garden equipment, include rifles and sabers and other props. And on last year, they used tricorn hats for, like, they represented Ichabod and Brom Bones at different parts of the show. So that's another great section, that the sky is the limit. I think last year we had 7 guard members, maybe 8. I would love for that number to just explode. For us to have 15 or 16 guard members would be totally amazing. So if you're a flute player saying, yeah, you know what, the band already has 10 flutes, maybe I want to try this, or maybe I've done a little bit of dancing or acting in the past, this is really the section for you. And our next slide is actually devoted to all of them, so I can show you some more of their equipment. Again, they're the visual representation of the music. They really have a huge role in the visual part of our show. You can see off to the right, Yanisa is using that gray flag. She's got a couple other pieces of equipment on the ground in front of her, all that stuff she's going to warm up with. In the uppermost picture, they're using rifles. Those are not real, obviously. They're made of wood, but they're a great piece of color guard equipment that you can spin and you can toss and you can do all kinds of stuff with. And the bottom left, you can see they're doing what looks like a mix between some flag work and some dance. So you can see that there's a lot of movement involved in all 3 pictures. And such an important aspect of our show. So really, really, if you or someone you know dances or acts or has any kind of experience doing this, or even if you don't have any kind of experience doing this, I think everybody in these pictures is doing this for either the first time or maybe the second time. Students work very hard; they pick it up really quickly, and they're a really, really huge part of our show. So hopefully, some of you will be interested in that as well. So next year's show, every year our show in the fall has a theme. Next year's show is Hook and Pan, Peter Pan and Captain Hook. And that kind of came out of the fact that we were planning a Disney trip and we wanted to do something a little bit Disney, but it's not totally even despite the picture there, it's not totally the Disney version of this. Actually, the music comes from a Steven Spielberg movie called Hook, and then a concert band piece called Starcatchers. So I encourage you to look up music from either of those things. That's where the music is going to be made up of. And then once we have the music and we know how many people are in each section, how many flutes, how many clarinets, how many alto saxophones, how many yada yada, I write the visual part of the show, and then we take that into the band camp, and we eventually start learning our show. So this is going to be a cool one because we can do the pirate angle, we can do the Captain Hook angle, the Peter Pan, the adventure angle is really big. In the last couple years, we've done like creepy shows. We did a dragon show with that gigantic creepy dragon. We did a headless horseman show last year. So this is a little bit lighter than that, but it's super adventurous. I'm really excited to get into something a little bit different for our 2020 season. Here are a couple of reasons why you should do this. And some of these reasons come from me, and some of these reasons come from former members and people who have graduated, or even people who are still at FHS and still planning to participate in this year. Here's just a couple of reasons what makes the marching band different, and why you should join this if you're interested. The first bullet point there is you're going to join a community of musicians who are always, always there to help you, not just in marching band related things. Like I said, these are going to become your best friends. These are people who are going to be able to help you with your homework. These are people who are going to be able to help you out if you're having a rough time, or you had a bad day, or you had a good day and you want to share that with somebody. This is a really, really close knit of musicians. I promise it happens every year that this group of 50 or sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less than 50 is a really, really close group of people. And it's really fun to be a part of that and know that you have 50 people around you who are really, really there to help you out when you need it. The friendships that you create are going to last a lifetime. You're going to make so many great memories. You can see that the picture to the left down there, that's the last time we went to Disney World. And that's a whole bunch of people. Some of them have graduated already, and a couple of the people in that picture are about to graduate. We're standing in front of the Rock and Roller Coaster down at Hollywood Studios down in Orlando. So we're having a good time making memories. The pride of a great production. It's something that you really don't understand unless you've been a part of a marching band or a really, really good band. Just when you finish your show and the audience is going crazy, and just that amazing feeling that you get. There's nothing like it, and there's nothing better than that. And that's what gets all of us through that tough band camp or the hot weather, the cold weather later on. Everything is just the pride of doing something with 50 other people that you care a lot about. It's an amazing, amazing feeling. And then being a part of something huge, because this is a really, really huge staple. Like I said, it's the crown jewel of our high school music department. So it's a cool thing to be a part of. So I think my total recommendation to you would be that if you are even half interested in joining this group, go through the steps to join. Fill out, and I'll detail those in a couple minutes. I'll tell you exactly what to do. But my recommendation is if you're even thinking about it, then do it. If you're thinking about it, then ask good questions. Email me, ask for more information. I can put you in touch with an older student who has done this for a while, and they can answer all the questions that you might have. If you're thinking about this, try it. I have known so many in my 10 years at FHS. I've been doing marching band for going on 20 years at different schools. I have never, ever met a student who regretted joining the marching band. Never. It's never happened. When you join the marching band, you love it. You love being a part of it. You're so excited. I can't tell you enough. So you're just going to have to take my word for it. I have met a lot of students. Some of them are in the band right now who regret not joining or not joining sooner when they decided, I don't know, I'm going to kind of get my feet wet freshman year. I'm not going to join yet. Maybe I'll join my sophomore year, my junior year. And they regret not being a part of the great shows that they missed. So, like I said, if you're thinking about it, do it. And here's how you do it. If you are interested, there, along with in an email that you got the email because you got this presentation. So you got this email either from me or from your band teacher at whatever middle school you're at. There is a Google form that has to do with joining. And if you're interested, and you provide me a little bit of information. So I just need to know in that Google form your name, what instrument you plan on playing. Are you interested in joining the color guard? Are you interested in joining the pit? Are you interested in playing an instrument, whatever? And then a phone number for you, an email address for you, a phone number for a parent, an email address for a parent. It's just so that I can get started. You're telling me that I'm interested in taking the next step. I want you to understand that just because you sign this Google form doesn't put you in the marching band. It tells me that you're interested so that I can give you more information. Okay? The other important step you should take while you're filling out this Google form is talk to your people at home, your parents, your folks, your whoever. Make sure that your family knows this is a huge, in fact, watch this with them. They should know that this is a big time commitment. You're getting into 2 weeks of summer work and all that kind of stuff. So make sure that they're cool with this too, because it's not just a big commitment for you. It's a big commitment for your family who's going to be taking you back and forth between, having you show up at rehearsal a couple times a week and getting rides and stuff like that. So they're going to need to know. Okay. If you filled out that Google form, you give me information, you say, yes, I'm interested. I'm going to send you out another email that has audition information. Yes, you have to audition for this group. The reason for that, I have 50 uniforms, and so we can't really go over 50. That's not to say that you won't make the marching band. Let's say that you audition on the trumpet, and we have 10 trumpets audition, and I say, well, we really only need 5. It doesn't mean that you don't make the marching band. It means that you might not get to play the trumpet in the marching band. We might find something else for you to do. Maybe you're interested in joining the color guard and doing a little bit of that visual work, or maybe you're interested in joining the pit and taking up, maybe you have some piano skills and you can take up marimba over the summer. And so we try to make a place for everybody. That's my promise to everybody, is that we are absolutely going to try to find a place for you. But just know that there is limited space. We want our product to be absolute top quality. So the people who join this marching band have to be hard workers. They have to be good musicians. They have to be strong people ready to do this for the fall and beyond. Okay. So you'll get that information from me with all that audition information. And then you'll send me your audition. And then my staff and there's a couple other staff members that work with me, we'll go through your audition stuff. We'll put you in the place that works best for you, whether it's snare drum or bass drum or trumpet or flute or color guard or wherever, we'll put you in the right place and we'll put out this list. And then we'll be ready to start marching band. So all of this has to take place before June 18th. I want all of this done so that we go into summer vacation knowing exactly how many people there are in the marching band. If you have questions about this, I'm sure you might. Please email me. Please talk to a veteran who you know, or someone who has been in the marching band before, or someone who's still in the marching band. Ask lots of good questions. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Ah, there we go. Haha. Do you have questions? If you do, that's my email address right there. Jasinski@framingham.k12.ma.us. I might not answer your question myself. What I probably will do is if you have a question that I know is going to be best answered by a student, I'm going to send that along to one of our section leaders or one of our drum majors, and you're going to hear from one of them answering your question because they have the experience being in this band for some of them a couple years. So they're going to be able to answer your question. And if they can't, I promise I will. This is our last slide. And that's kind of an ominous message up at the top. Once you are in, there's no turning back. Here's the reason I say that. When we're putting together the show, I have to write visual parts for everybody. So I have to know well in advance that we have 5 flutes and 6 clarinets and 3 alto saxophones. And let's pretend we get to band camp and I've written all this stuff and we're ready to start. And you send me an email that says, hey, you know what? I was thinking about it and I kind of really don't want to anymore. Sorry, you have to. You have to commit to this once you audition and we put out that list. That's your last, like, there's no turning back because we can't have a show that has a big hole in the field because, well, we were going to have an alto sax player there, but they dropped out. They decided it wasn't for them. So just know this is important for you. It's important for your families to understand that once you join, once you audition, and we put your name on that list and we say, okay, congratulations, you're part of the 2020 FFMB, you're in. You're in. Okay, there's lots of people to help you. If you're feeling like, oh no, the music's pretty tough, I promise that you are going to catch up. I promise that your section leader is going to help you. I promise that this is going to be every bit of the great experience that you want and you deserve as a member of this band. But you got to stick with it. You have to stick with it. Okay, so that's going to wrap up my presentation. Thank you for listening. Please share this with everybody. If you're an 8th grader, and you know that you're in the band and you've been a part of the band, send this to your buddies. Make sure that they see it. Make sure that they've checked their email and they watch this, and that if they were interested, they get back to me and they put their name on that Google form so that I can get out audition information to them. That's what I'm really worried about right now, is just making sure that everybody has the information they need. So that's what this is all about. And please, if you're missing some piece of information, or I haven't answered something for you, email me. Let me know. Just making sure that I'm not forgetting anything before I end this video here. Maybe you're a member of the orchestra and you're saying, well, there are no violins or cellos in that marching band. That's right. But you got this because you're a musician that is headed to FHS next year. And we thought maybe you would be interested in joining this and learning a new instrument or trying out something you've never done before, or doing some dance and some guard work with the color guard or something like that. So we're putting this around to absolutely everybody. It's my hope that you get the information you need. Please share it. Please spread it around so that we can have a really, really strong, really great 2020 marching band. So thank you for listening. This has been Mr. J from FHS, and we'll talk to you soon.